Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. I have my crystal ball off to the side, so I will be scrying throughout this message. If you're new to my channel, my readings are a little different, and if you're returning, welcome back. You know how we do. If it doesn't resonate with you, if you're forcing the story to fit, arguing with it in any way, just leave it behind for the people who it's meant for. Channel members, this evening you're going to have your collective message we'll post, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And this Sunday, we're going to have the second video in the 5-part book series. We will be talking things about various medieval grimoires, certain things that were done in the editing process that kind of fudged up information for people, which a lot of people are working with now. We'll talk about some Elizabethan magicians and some of their contributions to the pool of occult literature. We'll talk about the 3 books of occult philosophy and transcendental magic and how influential they actually are in modern spirituality. And we'll get a little bit into more modern era ceremonial magic currents. So we'll get into some writing about that stuff. So if you're interested in that, again, open to all channel members. The membership link is in the description box below. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay. Taking a step aside, and allowing spirit to pass through me. Opening up to receive information. Okay, so I'm immediately like having some strange urge to open the shades, close the shades, open the shades, just a little. And so there's something about light in, light out, changing some sort of perception parameter or frequency. This kind of makes me feel that somebody may have gotten into something that they're not really sure about now, whether this is something spiritual or this is something in the mundane world, right? Something like your job, for example. Maybe you got a new job and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can pull this off. Or you may have committed to something that you don't know that you can keep that commitment. There's something here about hesitancy and maybe even feeling like you have to pull back just a little bit. Okay. Recalibration. So it's really just understanding that not just you, but your emotional body and your mental body and your energy body, all of them are kind of recalibrating to whatever the circumstance is. I'm almost seeing like this window of like 2 weeks, to give yourself 2 weeks to really figure something out before you make any rash decisions. Because I'm kind of getting this feeling like stay, just wait, right? Okay. There may even be something astrological that's taking place that is not conducive to making a choice right now. It may be something that is stirring up something deep within the psyche in terms of fears or just venting of certain energies. I feel like that's been going on for quite a while, but I almost feel that whoever this message is for, there's something about after this last full moon, up until, for this time span of like 2 more weeks, there's going to be something here where it's not a good time to be able to make those decisions, because something within the perception and the self-belief is going to be a little janky, Okay. Yeah. So King of Pentacles to the 3 of Swords. I'm not feeling these things as literal. Now, what I'm feeling here with the King of Pentacles is the way that we govern ourselves, our self-sovereignty, right? The King of Pentacles, he's very solid. He's the most solid king. And in some ways, he's like stubborn, right? But it's really because he's the King of Stone. So he's unmoving, unwavering. He understands what his throne has been built upon. What's going on here, though, is when we have the 3 of Swords, I feel like that's kind of important, right? It's almost like a message that feels a little urgent. It's like, hey, don't make any rash decisions right now. The 3 of Swords, there may be some sort of heartbreak or some sort of emotion that's trying to cycle itself out and work itself out, because the bottom theme that you have is the Fool. The Fool is somebody who's starting with an almost blank slate, right? They still have that bag that has some troubling contents that is following them. And if you're interested in understanding a little bit more about the imagery on the Fool card and why those contents are troubling, we covered it in the Major Arcana Series. Again, channel membership is in the description box. This is telling me that there's something here that's starting to, it's starting to loosen in starting to try to move and shift, there's quite possibly old traumas, old heartbreaks, old wounds that are trying to heal themselves at this time. This is probably why the energy that I'm feeling is that somebody is having this like venting up or this bubbling up as things start to loosen up and process. Three of Swords, this is a very interesting card because those three swords are all crossing somewhere within this heart space. They're all crossing at a particular point in the center of the heart. So some of you, you may be dealing with a situation that is very near and dear to you, and this may be what this is regarding. And what this is saying is that there's a lot of mental energy going to this right now, and the more mental energy you give to it right now, like what should I do, what should I not do, I don't know what decision to make, the more you devote that mental energy into that sort of spiral, the further that spiral is going to go, right? So if you do find that that's you right now, allow yourself the next 2 weeks to kind of step back, allow the energy to clear, just focus on whatever it is that's coming up that you need to process and that you need to kind of purge out of your system before making a decision about this. This does tell me that some of you may be having that energy project itself onto a particular situation. That doesn't mean that the situation is innocent. It doesn't mean that it's not warranted. It just means that right now it's not a good time. Okay. Obviously, if you feel like you're in physical danger, it absolutely is the right time. Okay. Ooh, some things are standing out to me, and I don't really know what this means in context to this reading, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing, and this may be significant for somebody. One of the things I'm seeing is that this crow is staying behind while this crow leaves. This crow is sitting on the heartbreak, right? So this is the crow that's experiencing the heartbreak after another one has left. What I'm seeing over here is I'm seeing this sort of prayer flag surrounding the king. So these are things that it's wishing for. This is things that this king is hoping will happen. So there may be some fear complexes that are taking place right now as some sort of energy settles in, or as our energy body settles in. Settles in just keeps coming in. Okay, settles in. If you have like fears about a situation, this isn't to say that it's unwarranted. It's just to say that it may be being magnified at this time. Now, that's not necessarily a problem. Sometimes the reason why things get magnified, not just because things are processing and percolating up, they can get magnified when we're in the habit of silencing ourselves, right? It's kind of like that you have a kid, right? And you tell that kid to pick up their room, and you're nice about it the first few times, and then after so long of having your child not listen to you, you might raise your voice and just snap, right? Because you're so frustrated. There's something here about the self being frustrated, especially if you are an individual that doesn't tend to listen to yourself, right? It's like it's trying to get your attention, and it knows that the only way to get your attention is by making it really uncomfortable. Now, the other thing that I'm seeing in here, for those of you who that's not true for, is it's almost like this extreme feeling that is the result of just a compounding of different situations. So those are all things to kind of examine if you're experiencing this energy. And again, you know, those situations, they could be things that are outwardly related, things that are more spiritual in nature. They could be things that we have left undone. They could be things that we need to really tie up loose ends on. Putting something behind us, maybe even like cleaning something, like really, because I'm getting kind of this transposition of some sort of like a symbolic language, like an external symbolic language, which I think we covered that in a reading last week that came through. So you may be finding that you're the type of person who you've kind of began ritual or started ritually cleaning something, or organizing something, feeling like that will help you feel better. There's something like that coming in for some of you. Whatever this energy is, this feeling of not necessarily being sure, it's the whole idea behind it is just that the energy right now is sort of chaotic for a lot of people. If you hop on social media, if you're a social media person, which I am not, I just happened to check it the other day, there's this kind of like this weird trend that's happening right now where people are getting dumped. I've noticed that a lot of men have been posting about women leaving them or betraying them. And so there's something going on where there's like this shifting of energies and shifting of like allegiances almost, truths being found out, certain inspirations coming in. So this is a time period where it's not necessarily the best to make decisions at the moment. Here with the Strength card, some of you, it's really asking you to find your own source of strength, to like tap into your own sense of self. Because again, I do think that for some of you, there's some sort of message that's trying to come through, but it may be getting misinterpreted in a little bit of a different way than how it's being intended. And I do feel that this is especially true if it's, for example, psychic information that you're receiving, whether it's from another person or about a particular event. You know, psychic information is interesting because we tend to think, oh, we get psychic information, that means we know something. This isn't always the case. Sometimes psychic information can be very amorphous, and our conscious mind has to somehow translate that information. And it's very easy to get those feelings wrong, right? So a good example of this is you feel like someone's not telling you the truth, they're not telling you the truth, and so they must be lying to you about something that's important to you, right? This is how we interpret it. And the reality of it is that you may be getting the information that this person is always worried that people don't believe them, right? So there's something here where the information is getting crossed at this time. And so this is one reason why it may not be the best time to make decisions. Okay. I keep looking over, and this happened the other day. I normally don't look over this way. I keep looking over at post office receipts, and it's like the receipts for the messages, right? What was the leftover energy? What was the takeaway? What's the imprint left over from particular communications for some of you? Okay. Spirit or tangible, like 3D related. Okay. I said Arizona the other day, right? That just came through again. So, okay, how am I reading this? I'm reading to read it in a block. Okay. So I do have a Lover's card out. So for some of you, this is going to be in the context of a love situation. Again, the Lovers can be a choice though. And what I have here is I have Lovers to the 5 of Swords with the 7 of Wands to the 2 of Swords. And I'm supposed to read all these energies together as one meaning. So when I do that, what I'm getting is basically a choice to really kind of protect your own energy because of being afraid of a particular outcome or thinking that we know exactly what's taking place. And the truth is that we may not know. We may not actually know right now. You know, if there's a decision to be made, as long as you have the time and as long as you're not in like physical danger, what's 2 weeks, right? Sitting back for 2 weeks and letting the energy clear to allow ourselves to really just process whatever's happening and to integrate the information so that we understand it a little bit better. I think that's pretty wise. Here what we have is we have the Page of Swords on the very bottom, and this is communication. There's some sort of message. Swords, particularly for me, are telepathic communications. So energy that's being exchanged in some way, whether it is from like a spiritual source or whether it's between people, and allowing some time so that we can actually process it the way that it's meant to be received. Sometimes we can have those cross communications, for example, when there's significant amounts of subconscious energy that's shifting. And I do think that that's happening for a lot of people right now. But when there are times that there's like a lot of solar flares, it tends to confuse that communication as well. There's also something, what is this? Oh, okay, I'm supposed to, oh, interesting. I did not expect that. So for those of you who practice or observe, and for those of you who don't, I'll tell you, a lot of people practice and observe Imbolc. And there's a thing about that. This is actually a day that's really significant for a lot of different cultures. And in many cultures in the East, when they celebrate this particular day, it really represents the end of winter, the beginning of spring. And because of that, it's a division point between seasons, which means it's a liminal space. So there's this belief that February, you know, it can land anywhere. Most of those cultures, they practice like a lunar solar calendar. So it'll fall anywhere between like probably around the 1st to like the 4th, somewhere in there. And the belief is that this is where the spirit world is very close, right? It's very close and experientially close, I should say. And there may be something about that, especially if you're someone who is more attuned to like the spirit world. Okay. Here with the 3 of Wands. This Three of Wands is kind of interesting because it's not speaking to me the way that it normally does. This is almost looking like rungs on a ladder. And it's like someone here, you may be working on trying to get to a better place in some way. That may be what this situation is regarding, whether this is a better type of relationship or a better type of job, or you're trying to immerse yourself deeper and become better at your craft of some kind, right? And so that may be part of what the anxiety about this or the worry is about this is, oh, this isn't working, or I've gone too far, or I've done too much. This is just, again, it's just a message that's kind of saying for the next 2 weeks, just kind of sit with it. Just sit with the energy and allow it to be integrated. You're not used to this energy, whatever it is. And it's not to say that the final result won't show that your hesitancy was right. It's just saying that right now is not necessarily the best time to make any split second reaction. What is going on? Section and reaction. Okay, I'll come back to that. Split second decisions. Section reactions. So I almost feel that someone here, because this energy is kind of building this like unease, you may find that you're reacting just a little bit in small ways. Anytime we have that, it's a good time to realize that, like, you know, we need to step back a little bit. We need to calm and recenter ourselves before we can reapproach the situation. Okay. Give me one more card. Okay, yeah, King of Swords to the King of Cups. On the bottom, King of Cups is going to be the theme. This is really about mastering your emotions a little bit. With the King of Swords, again, we may be in this very up in the logical space, really thinking and overthinking. And so we're being asked to just pull that back just a little bit. What we're really going for is a marriage of these two energies, where it's like that fine balance of the control of mind and the control of heart. So balancing those two so that we're not necessarily operating from an emotionally reactive place, but we're not operating from a place where it's like these dry facts and figures are like ruling everything, because there's a lot of information that gets missed that way. Okay. Ultimately, this does look like an opportunity for someone to work just a little bit on some sort of healing. A healing element here, because we have the Four of Swords and the Sun is actually underneath that. But this Four of Swords is really telling me that it's about taking that time out, right? Rest and recovery. So I'm going to leave this here. It seems like a reading that has a little bit of advice for someone. If this resonated for you, please hit that like button. Feel free to leave me a comment. And until next time.